The sea is quiet until the storm arrives. The waves strike the rocks below the cliffs. The wind begins to howl across the empty coastline. Far away, in different countries across Europe, radio enthusiasts are sitting alone in dark rooms. Some are recording static. Some are searching for distant signals. Most expect to hear nothing. But tonight is different. At exactly 12:17 a.m., every receiver locks onto the same frequency. A weak voice cuts through the noise. Blackwater Station. Do you copy? The transmission is broken. It fades, then returns. Please don't answer. The listeners freeze. No one recognizes the station. Within minutes, online radio forums begin filling with identical reports. Operators in Scotland, Norway, Germany, France, Poland. Everyone heard the same message. The impossible part comes a few minutes later. Blackwater Station officially stopped operating more than 40 years ago. Its antennas were dismantled. Its power was disconnected. Its buildings were abandoned. According to government records, no radio transmission has ever come from that location since its closure. Yet thousands of recordings prove otherwise. Experts first believe someone is using an old transmitter nearby. Search teams scan every nearby frequency. Nothing. No active equipment. No hidden antenna. No pirate broadcaster. The source appears to come from the abandoned station itself. That should be impossible. As more recordings appear, investigators notice something disturbing. Every listener recorded exactly the same words. Not similar, exactly the same. Even the static matches perfectly. It is as if everyone received one single broadcast at the exact same moment. Then another detail appears. At the end of every recording, hidden beneath the static, another voice whispers something almost impossible to hear. Audio engineers enhance the recording. The words become clear. We already know you're listening. No one remembers hearing that line live. It only appears after the recording is analyzed. The discovery spreads across the internet overnight. People begin searching for Blackwater Station. Most maps show nothing. Old satellite images reveal only an abandoned building near dangerous cliffs. Local fishermen refuse to sail close to it after dark. Some claim strange lights appear inside the empty control room. Others say voices can be heard over the sound of the waves. No one agrees on what the station really was. But everyone agrees on one thing. Nobody has entered it for years. The mystery grows when a retired Coast Guard officer is interviewed. He quietly says he remembers the station. Then he refuses to answer another question. Instead, he ends the interview with a warning. If you ever hear Blackwater calling, never answer. The interviewer asks why. The old man simply stands up and leaves. Hours later, another broadcast interrupts the frequency. The signal is stronger this time. The same frightened voice returns. This is Blackwater Station. We failed. They found the signal. A loud burst of static fills the speakers. Then comes one final sentence. You still have time. The transmission ends. But one question has only just begun. If Blackwater Station has been abandoned for decades, who is broadcasting tonight? Morning arrives, but the mystery refuses to fade. Every recording from the previous night is identical. Scientists compare the audio files collected from different countries. There is no delay, no distortion, no difference. It is as though the same signal reached thousands of radios at exactly the same instant. That should not happen. The investigation begins with the obvious question. What was Blackwater Station? The answer should have been simple. Instead, every official record leads to another missing file. Old government archives list the station only once. A small entry, built in 1964. Purpose, coastal communications. Status, closed, nothing more. No photographs, no employee records, no maintenance logs, no explanation for its closure. Researchers visit local libraries. The oldest newspapers contain strange gaps. Entire editions from one particular week are missing. Librarians insist those copies disappeared years ago. No one knows who removed them. A retired historian remembers reading those papers decades earlier. He describes a headline that no longer exists. Emergency declared at Blackwater Station. He cannot remember the article, only the headline. The pages are gone. Investigators travel to the remote coastline. Blackwater Station still stands. The building overlooks endless gray water. Its windows are broken. Its walls are covered in salt and moss. The main gate hangs open. No warning signs. No security. Only silence. Inside, the station feels frozen in time. Dust covers the desks. Old radios sit exactly where they were left. Coffee mugs remain beside faded notebooks. A wall calendar still shows the same month. October, 1983. It has never been turned. One strange detail immediately stands out. Everything is covered in decades of dust. Everything except one object. An old microphone. It looks almost new. Someone has cleaned it recently. No fingerprints. No footprints nearby. Just the microphone. The investigators search the control room. Most equipment is rusted beyond repair. Power cables have been cut. Entire circuit panels are missing. Nothing should work. Yet one tiny red indicator light suddenly flashes. Once, then again. No electricity enters the building. Experts confirm this. The station has been disconnected for more than 40 years. The light should be dead. Instead, it keeps blinking every 30 seconds. No one can explain why. As evening approaches, local residents finally begin talking. Only after cameras are switched off. An elderly fisherman says, children were warned never to approach Blackwater Station. Not because it was dangerous. Because people sometimes came back different. He refuses to explain further. Another resident remembers military trucks arriving late one night. Dozens of soldiers surrounded the station before sunrise. By afternoon, every road leading there had been closed. Within days, officials announced the station had permanently shut down. No reason was ever given. Then comes the first real breakthrough. Hidden beneath loose floorboards, investigators discover an old metal storage box. Inside are several employee identification cards, 6 names, 6 photographs. Every card belongs to a different radio operator. The issue dates end in October 1983, the same month shown on the wall calendar. There is one more item inside the box, a folded handwritten note. The paper is stained with age. Only one sentence can still be read. If the broadcast begins again, destroy the transmitter before midnight. No signature, no explanation, only fear. The team leaves the station before sunset. As they drive away, one investigator checks the rearview mirror. The control room window is glowing faintly. Someone appears to be standing inside, perfectly still, watching them leave. But when they turn around, the window is empty. That night, at exactly 12:17 a.m., every radio monitoring the Blackwater frequency comes alive again. This time, a different voice speaks. A calm voice. One that sounds almost relieved. You found our station. Then it whispers something that chills every listener. Now find our bodies. No one sleeps after the second broadcast. The message spreads across Europe before sunrise. Now find our bodies. It is not a threat, it sounds like a request. The investigation changes immediately. The station is no longer just an abandoned building. It has become a missing persons case that was never closed. The 6 identification cards are carefully examined. Each belongs to a radio operator assigned to Blackwater Station during October 1983. Their names appear genuine. Their photographs match official employment records found in a forgotten government database. But something is wrong. Every record ends on exactly the same date, October 28, 1983. After that, nothing. No resignations, no transfers, no death certificates, no burial records. It is as if the 6 operators simply vanished from history. Investigators begin searching for surviving relatives. Most families have spent decades without answers. One daughter still keeps her father's last letter. She has never shown it to anyone. Until now. The envelope is dated 2 days before the station fell silent. The handwriting is neat, but hurried. My work has changed. We are receiving signals that do not belong here. At first, we thought they were foreign transmissions, but they know our names. They know things that haven't happened yet. If I stop writing, do not come looking for me. The letter ends there, no signature, only a dark stain where the ink suddenly trails away. Another family shares an old cassette recording left by one of the operators. The tape was never played publicly. His voice is calm, almost cheerful. He talks about long night shifts, storms over the sea, the loneliness of the station. Then his tone changes. He says something investigators cannot explain. There are 7 voices in the control room. There should only be 6. Silence follows. Then a chair scrapes across the floor. A microphone falls. The tape ends. Experts analyze the recording. No signs of editing. No hidden cuts. Everything appears authentic. The team returns to Blackwater Station. This time they search every room, every corridor, every locked cabinet. The basement is colder than the rest of the building, not naturally cold. The temperature suddenly drops several degrees. Their lights begin flickering. Electronic equipment starts malfunctioning. A digital compass spins without stopping. At the end of a narrow hallway, they discover a heavy steel door. It has no handle on the outside, only deep scratches covering the metal, as if someone had desperately tried to escape from within. The door is welded shut. Old engineering reports confirm it was sealed permanently in 1983. No reason is listed. Ground-penetrating radar is brought to the site. The scan reveals an empty chamber behind the wall, large enough for several people. But strangely, the room contains no furniture, no equipment, only 6 unexplained heat signatures, perfectly still, perfectly separated. The team assumes the machine is malfunctioning. They repeat the scan. The 6 shapes remain exactly where they were, motionless, human-sized. No one speaks. The engineers quietly pack away their equipment. Before leaving, one investigator notices something carved into the steel door. The words are almost invisible beneath layers of rust. Do not open until the signal stops. Nobody knows who carved it, or when. That evening, forensic experts compare the mysterious broadcasts with the old cassette recording. Their discovery silences the room, the voice saying, "You found our station," belongs to one of the missing operators. The same operator whose family believed he disappeared 43 years ago. The voice patterns match with extraordinary accuracy, nearly perfect, which creates an impossible question. If the operator vanished in 1983, who has been speaking on the radio? Midnight arrives. The familiar frequency comes alive once more. But this time there is no warning, only heavy breathing. Then a frightened whisper. They opened the wrong door. A loud metallic bang echoes through the transmission. Someone begins screaming. Then 6 voices speak together, not shouting, not crying, just one calm sentence. Please don't let them hear you. The signal cuts to silence, but somewhere inside Blackwater Station, something else has just awakened. Art 4, The Impossible Recording. The new transmission changes everything. Until now, investigators believed the broadcasts were messages. Now they begin to wonder if they are warnings. A search of forgotten government storage facilities uncovers a sealed evidence box. The label is faded. Only 2 words remain readable. Blackwater, audio inside, are several magnetic recording reels. Most are damaged beyond repair. Only one survives. Its date matches the final night Blackwater Station was officially active, October 28, 1983. The reel is transferred to a specialist laboratory. The tape is fragile. Every second must be preserved. When the recording begins, nothing seems unusual. The operators are performing routine radio checks, weather reports, ship positions, signal strength, ordinary work on an ordinary night. Then something interrupts them. A voice appears on the frequency. Not loud, not distorted, perfectly clear. It speaks before anyone presses the transmit button. Good evening. The room falls silent. One operator asks for identification. No reply. Instead, the unknown voice calmly says the operator's full name, then the names of the other 5 crew members. One by one. No one had introduced themselves. No names had been transmitted. The recording continues. The crew attempts to trace the signal. Every instrument points to the ocean, exactly 20 miles offshore. There is nothing there. No ships, no islands. Only open water. Suddenly, another voice joins the transmission. This one sounds identical to the first operator, except, "Adder first one selv oude realms." He is already speaking into the microphone. The room now contains 2 identical voices, one inside the station, one coming through the radio. The second voice quietly says, "Do not answer me." The operator freezes. His co-workers stare at him. He slowly lowers the microphone, but it is too late. Another crew member responds, "Who are you?" For 3 long seconds, nothing. Then the unknown voice answers, "I am you." Every investigator listening to the tape stops breathing. One operator begins laughing nervously. Another suggests someone is playing a cruel joke. The laughter lasts only a few seconds. The station clocks suddenly stop. Every clock, every watch, every timer, all frozen at exactly 12:17 a.m. The operators notice it immediately. One of them walks to the window. Outside, the storm has disappeared. The sea is perfectly still. The lighthouse has gone dark. Even the waves have stopped moving. It is as if time itself has paused. Panic begins spreading through the control room. Someone reaches for the emergency telephone. There is no dial tone, only a faint whisper. Stay where you are. The tape crackles violently. Static floods the recording. When the sound finally clears, the operators are no longer talking to each other. They are answering questions. Questions that never appear on the recording. Invisible questions. One replies, "Yes, there are 6 of us." Another says, "No, we haven't opened it." A third suddenly shouts, "We won't let you in." Then comes the most disturbing moment. The recording captures footsteps. Not 1 pair. Not 6. 7. Slow, heavy, crossing the control room floor. Yet every crew member can still be heard speaking at the microphones. No one is walking. The footsteps stop directly behind them. Silence. Then all 6 operators gasp together. None of them says a word. One by one, their microphones fall silent. Only the 7th set of footsteps remains, walking calmly toward the transmitter. The tape ends with a loud burst of static. Investigators believe that is the final moment. But during digital restoration, they discover another 23 seconds hidden beneath the noise. A voice speaks very quietly. It is not one of the operators. It says, "The recording never ended." Then another sentence. "If you're hearing this, you're already part of the transmission." The laboratory immediately checks the restored file. Its total length should be 18 minutes and 42 seconds. Instead, it keeps getting longer. Every time they play it, a few extra seconds appear. New whispers, new footsteps, new voices, as though the tape is still recording. Even after 43 years, the recording should have been the end of the investigation. Instead, it becomes the beginning. If the tape is somehow still changing, then something inside Blackwater Station may still be active. A second expedition is organized. This time, the team includes engineers, structural experts, forensic investigators, and radio specialists. No one is allowed to enter alone. Every movement is recorded. Every radio is synchronized. Every clock is checked before they leave. They arrive just before sunset. The station looks exactly as they left it. Broken windows, rusted antennas, silence. But something is different. The front door is open. It had been locked with a steel chain 2 days earlier. The chain now lies neatly folded on the ground, not broken, unlocked, as if someone had carefully removed it. Inside, the air feels strangely warm. Not hot, just warmer than the cold sea breeze outside. The team spreads through the building. The control room remains untouched. Dust covers every surface, except one, the microphone. It is still perfectly clean. One investigator places a thin layer of forensic powder across its base. If anyone touches it, the powder will reveal fingerprints. No one goes near it again. The engineers inspect the electrical system. Every cable leading into the station was cut decades ago. There is no backup generator, no batteries, no hidden power source. The building is completely disconnected from the outside world. Yet the small red transmission light continues blinking. Every 30 seconds. Exactly. 1, 2, 3. The interval never changes. A radio specialist connects a portable receiver to the old transmitter. There should be nothing. Instead, a weak carrier signal is detected. No voice, just a steady transmission. The frequency matches the mysterious broadcasts perfectly. The impossible transmitter is still alive. Without electricity, without maintenance, without explanation. As darkness falls, the team begins searching the basement again. The welded steel door remains sealed. Ground scans still show 6 human-shaped heat signatures behind it. None of them have moved. One engineer taps gently on the metal. Nothing. He taps again. A single knock answers from the other side. Everyone freezes. No one speaks. 30 seconds pass. Another knock. 3 slow taps, exactly matching the engineer's rhythm. No one touches the door again. The station suddenly comes alive. Old speakers crackle. Dust-covered monitors flicker. A ceiling light flashes once before dying again. Every digital recorder resets to 12:17. Every wristwatch stops. Even mechanical watches lose time. The investigators compare them. Each one now shows a different hour. Time inside Blackwater Station no longer agrees with itself. Then the radios activate, without anyone touching them. Static fills every speaker. A familiar voice emerges, calm, tired. almost whispering. "You stayed too long." Another voice interrupts. "You should have left before sunset." The investigators attempt to respond. Their microphones produce only silence. No signal leaves the room. But the voices continue answering questions no one has asked. Then one investigator notices movement. At the end of the corridor, a figure is standing in complete darkness. It wears an old radio operator's uniform. The face cannot be seen. The figure does not move. One flashlight is pointed directly toward it. For a fraction of a second, the beam reveals an identification badge. The photograph matches one of the 6 missing operators. When the light flickers again, the corridor is empty. The team rushes forward. There is nowhere to hide, only a blank wall, covered with fresh moisture, as if someone had been standing there only moments earlier. Back in the control room, the forensic investigator checks the microphone. The powder is gone. Someone has touched it. A single clear fingerprint appears. It is immediately scanned and compared with national records. Hours later, the result returns. The fingerprint belongs to one of the 6 operators, the same man who officially disappeared in October 1983. The laboratory repeats the comparison 3 times. The match remains identical. Impossible. Before anyone can discuss the result, the station speakers activate one final time. A voice unlike any previous broadcast fills the room. Older, stronger, almost emotionless. "You keep searching for the missing." A long silence follows. Then the voice says something that no one inside the station has ever told another person. "The 6 are not missing." Another pause. "They never left." The red transmission light stops blinking. For the first time, it remains solid. The radio frequency begins growing stronger. Outside, across the empty sea, a second signal suddenly answers Blackwater Station. The second signal changes the investigation forever. Until now, every strange transmission appeared to come from Blackwater Station. Now another source has answered. No radar detects a ship. No satellite identifies an aircraft. The signal comes from somewhere far beyond the horizon. The engineers immediately begin recording both frequencies. At first they sound identical. Then subtle differences appear. One signal is delayed by less than a second, almost like an echo. But it is not repeating the same words. It is finishing the sentences before they are spoken. One investigator quietly says, "Increase the recording gain." A voice from the second frequency responds first. "He already did." The room falls silent. No one has transmitted anything. The words were spoken aloud, yet the unknown voice answered before the sentence was finished. The team checks for hidden microphones. Nothing. Every communication device is switched off. Still, the second signal continues. It knows every conversation before it happens. The recordings are sent to independent laboratories across Europe. Within days, a pattern emerges. The mysterious voices are not remembering the past. They are describing events that have not happened yet. To test the theory, researchers make a prediction impossible to fake. They secretly place a silver coin beneath a loose floor tile inside the station. No one outside the investigation knows. That night, the broadcast returns. A calm voice says, "You dropped something. It won't stay under the 3rd tile." The investigators rush downstairs. The coin is gone. The floor remains undisturbed. No signs of forced entry. No footprints. Only an empty space where the coin had been. The next experiment is even more controlled. A sealed envelope is prepared. Inside is a random 5-digit number generated by a computer. The envelope is locked inside a secure evidence case. No one opens it. At midnight, the radio crackles. The same quiet voice speaks. "Your number is 41827. The investigators stare at each other. The envelope is opened. The number inside is exactly the same. The odds are almost impossible. Skeptics suggest coincidence. Then the broadcasts become even more precise. One voice warns that a coastal lighthouse will lose power at exactly 2:43 a.m. No storm is expected. No maintenance is scheduled. At 2:43 a.m., the lighthouse goes dark. Hours later, officials discover an unexpected electrical failure. The station predicts a ferry delay, a communications outage, a bridge closure caused by a truck accident. Each event happens exactly as described. News organizations begin hearing rumors about the mysterious broadcasts. Authorities refuse to comment. The investigation is quietly classified. Public access to Blackwater Station is restricted, but the signals cannot be contained. Amateur radio operators continue recording them from their homes. One retired engineer notices something no one else has seen. Every prediction is exactly 72 hours ahead. Never 71. Never 73. Always 3 days into the future. Why? No one knows. The team searches the control room again. Hidden behind an old metal cabinet, they discover a faded chalkboard. Most of the writing has disappeared. Only one sentence remains readable. We hear tomorrow before it arrives. Below it is a list of dates. Each date has a single word beside it. Storm, fire, collision, silence. Every event can be confirmed in historical records. Each occurred exactly 3 days after it was written. Then comes the final entry. There is no date, only 2 chilling words. They return. No explanation. No names. Only those words. Late that night, every recorder inside Blackwater Station activates at once. Without warning. Without power. A new voice begins speaking. It is calm, almost hopeful. If you're hearing us now, you've reached the point where we failed. The investigators listen carefully. The voice continues. You still think these are predictions? A long pause follows. Then the sentence that changes everything. Their memories. The transmission ends. For the first time since the investigation began, no static follows. Only absolute silence. And somewhere beyond the dark sea, something has finally stopped broadcasting. Silence should have brought relief. Instead, it brings fear. For the first time in weeks, Blackwater Station transmits nothing. No voices. No static. No signal. The investigators are unsettled. The silence feels deliberate, almost as if someone knows they are listening. With the broadcasts gone, the team shifts its focus to the station's history. If the voices are memories, whose memories are they? A government archivist quietly contacts the investigation. He refuses to meet in public. Instead, he chooses an abandoned railway station several hours away. He arrives carrying a small metal case. Inside are documents stamped with a security classification that officially never existed. Across every page is the same project name, Project Echo Gate. The archivist explains that Blackwater Station was never built only for coastal communication. That story was created for the public. Its real purpose was hidden behind military funding during the Cold War. Scientists were studying extremely low-frequency radio waves. Most believed these signals could travel farther than ordinary broadcasts. A small group believed something far stranger. They believed powerful radio frequencies might not only cross distance, they might cross time. At first, the idea sounded impossible. Yet the early experiments produced disturbing results. Operators occasionally received replies before they transmitted a message. Equipment recorded signals from frequencies that did not officially exist. Engineers blamed malfunctioning instruments, but the anomalies kept increasing. Eventually, the project moved to Blackwater Station. Its isolated cliffs reduced interference from the outside world. Far from cities, far from witnesses, the documents describe a machine installed beneath the station. Not a weapon, not a generator. A massive experimental transmitter. It was designed to amplify radio waves beyond anything previously attempted. The final experiment was scheduled for October 28, 1983, the same night the station disappeared from official history. Most of the report has been destroyed. Entire paragraphs are blacked out. But one section survives. It describes the exact moment the machine reached full power. The operators reported hearing their own voices coming back through the receivers. Not delayed. Not distorted. Older. Frightened. Warning them to shut everything down. The lead engineer ignored the warning. He believed they had discovered an unknown atmospheric phenomenon. He ordered the experiment to continue. 47 seconds later, every instrument inside Blackwater Station failed simultaneously. Power systems overloaded. Clocks stopped. Radio frequencies merged into a single continuous signal. Then, the report simply ends. No explanation, no conclusion. Only one handwritten note in the margin. We opened something we could not close. The investigators returned to Blackwater Station with the documents. They compare the diagrams to the building's layout. One blueprint reveals a hidden chamber beneath the basement. The welded steel door was never the final room. It was only the entrance. Beyond it lies another chamber, one that does not appear on any public plans. The dimensions make no sense. The room should extend beyond the edge of the cliff itself. Physically, it cannot fit inside the hill. Ground-penetrating radar is used again. This time, the results are even stranger. The hidden chamber appears larger on the inside than the surrounding rock could possibly contain. Engineers suspect equipment failure. They repeat the scan. The impossible measurements remain unchanged. One physicist quietly whispers, "That space shouldn't exist." As night falls, the investigators place sensitive receivers around the station. They hope to detect any remaining signals. At exactly 12:17 a.m., every receiver activates, not with voices, with a low, steady tone. The frequency matches the original Project Echo Gate experiment. The tone lasts exactly 47 seconds, the same duration recorded in the surviving report. Then every receiver suddenly plays a single sentence. Not from the station, not from the sea, from somewhere beneath their feet. You finally found the door. The ground vibrates. Dust falls from the basement ceiling. A deep metallic sound echoes behind the welded steel door. Something massive moves on the other side. Very slowly. Very deliberately. Then, 3 quiet knocks. From inside the chamber, exactly the same rhythm heard weeks before. Only this time, a 4th knock answers, from somewhere even deeper below. No one moves after the 4th knock. The sound does not echo. It travels upward. As though it came from somewhere far below the hidden chamber, the investigators retreat to the control room. For the first time, no one wants to open the steel door. The documents from Project Echo Gate are examined again. One sentence, almost hidden beneath a black strip of ink, catches a researcher's attention. Using infrared imaging, a few missing words become visible. The transmission cannot be stopped because it is no longer being transmitted. The sentence makes no sense, until the radio specialists begin studying the mysterious frequency itself. Instead of listening to the signal, they analyze its structure. Hours later, one engineer notices something extraordinary. The broadcast contains no true beginning and no true ending. Every recording starts in a different place, like entering the middle of a conversation already in progress. The signal is not repeating, it is looping. Not through space, through time. The team gathers every known recording of Blackwater Station, the original tape from 1983, the modern broadcasts, private recordings from amateur operators, even fragments found in forgotten archives. Thousands of hours of audio are synchronized by computer. The result is impossible. Each recording fits perfectly into the next. The last second of one transmission becomes the first second of another. Messages recorded 43 years apart complete each other's sentences. One investigator whispers, "It isn't multiple broadcasts, it's one." The room falls silent. The machine reconstructs the entire signal. Its total length is impossible to calculate. Every time the software reaches what should be the end, another hidden segment appears, as though the broadcast is creating itself while being analyzed. Then, another discovery changes everything. The mysterious voices are not always speaking to the listeners. Sometimes, they are speaking to each other. A restored section reveals 2 operators arguing. "We shut it down." "No, we only shut ourselves out." Another voice interrupts. "They're listening again." "How many this time?" A pause. Then the answer, "Thousands." The investigators realized the voices knew people in the future would hear them. The broadcasts were never accidental. They were meant to be found. Another restored segment reveals the lead engineer. His voice is calm but exhausted. "If this recording survives, do not destroy the transmitter." The team looks at each other in disbelief. Every previous warning suggested exactly the opposite. The message continues. If you destroy it, the loop becomes permanent. No explanation follows. Only static. Conflicting instructions now fill the investigation. Some messages demand the transmitter be destroyed. Others insist it must never be touched. Both cannot be true. Or perhaps, both are. The researchers compare every contradiction. A pattern begins to emerge. The warnings are not coming from one timeline. They are coming from many. Each version of the crew remembers a different outcome. Some escaped, some failed, some never left the station. Every broadcast is another attempt to change what happened. Yet every attempt becomes part of the same endless transmission. As midnight approaches, every receiver in the station activates together. Not gradually, instantly. 6 familiar voices begin speaking at once. But there is something different. For the first time, a 7th voice answers them. The investigators recognize it immediately. It belongs to the lead engineer. The official reports say he died before the final experiment even began. Yet his voice is clear. "We've tried this before. We've tried it hundreds of times. A younger operator asks, "Can we still stop it?" The engineer answers without hesitation, "No." A long silence follows. Then he adds, "But they can." The investigators freeze. The engineer is not speaking to his crew anymore. He is speaking directly to whoever is listening in the future. Then comes the final sentence. "If you're hearing this, you're the experiment now." Every light inside Blackwater Station goes dark. The steady red transmission lamp finally switches off. Outside, the abandoned antenna begins turning slowly on its own. Pointing inland, not toward the sea, toward the people listening. The antenna stops moving. It now points directly toward the mainland, toward thousands of homes, toward thousands of radios. No one speaks. The investigators simply watch. The station has never behaved like this before. Engineers rush outside with portable instruments. The antenna is not connected to any motor. The gears are rusted solid. They should not be able to move. Yet the fresh marks in the metal prove they just turned. Slowly, deliberately. Back inside, every receiver begins producing the same low hum. Not loud, barely audible. Audio software reveals something hidden beneath the sound. Human voices, hundreds of them, layered together. Most are impossible to separate, until artificial intelligence isolates individual recordings. The first voice belongs to one of the 6 missing operators. The second belongs to the lead engineer. The third belongs to someone who has never appeared in the investigation. A woman calmly says, "If this reaches you, then another cycle has survived." No personnel records mention a woman working at Blackwater Station. No photograph, no identification card. Nothing. The investigators search the classified files again. Deep inside Project Echo Gate, they discover one missing page that had been filed under another project entirely. It describes a 7th researcher, a theoretical physicist brought in only weeks before the final experiment. Her name appears only once. Then it has been crossed out by hand. Every other reference has been removed, as though someone wanted history to forget she ever existed. Her handwritten notes remain. One sentence explains more than every report combined. The voices are not ghosts. They are echoes of people who never stopped transmitting. The room falls silent. The investigators replay every broadcast with this idea in mind. Suddenly, everything fits. The operators were never calling from another place. They were calling from another moment. The experiment did not kill them. It trapped them inside a continuous loop where every transmission became another attempt to reach the future. Each warning, each contradiction, each desperate message. A different version of the same people trying to prevent the experiment that created them. But there is one terrifying problem. If the crew is trapped, who keeps answering them? The answer comes unexpectedly. The mysterious 7th voice returns. Calm, clear. "You've been asking the wrong question." The investigators immediately begin recording. She continues. "We never tried to contact the future. The future contacted us first. No one breathes. The implication is impossible. The first signal did not originate in 1983. It originated decades later, perhaps even from the investigators themselves. Every attempt to solve the mystery may have created the mystery." The radio crackles again. The 6 operators begin speaking over one another. We heard them. They answered. They warned us. They became us. The words overlap until they become impossible to understand. Then absolute silence. One final recording starts automatically. It is not from 1983. The metadata shows today's date. Today's time. It was created only seconds ago. No one pressed record. The investigators play it back. At first, only static. Then their own voices. The exact conversation they are about to have. Every sentence, every pause, everything. One investigator deliberately says nothing. The recording waits, then plays his silence perfectly. It is not predicting them. It is already recording them. At the end of the file, a voice that belongs to none of them quietly says, "One question remains. If they escaped the loop, who stayed behind to keep the signal alive?" The recording ends. Outside, the first rays of sunrise appear over the sea. For the first time in 43 years, Blackwater Station casts a shadow in the opposite direction. Sunrise should end the mystery. Instead, it reveals the final piece. The investigators watch the strange shadow stretching across the cliffs. It points toward a forgotten concrete structure, hidden beneath years of overgrown grass. No map mentions it. No satellite image clearly shows it. The entrance is sealed by a rusted steel hatch. There are no warning signs, only one faded symbol, the same symbol found throughout the Project Echo Gate documents. The hatch is forced open. A narrow staircase disappears into darkness. The air below is dry, still, untouched. Every step echoes through the silent chamber. At the bottom, they discover a circular room. Its walls are covered with thousands of handwritten notes. Each note contains a date. Each date is followed by the same sentence. We tried again. The dates continue for decades. 1983, 1984, 1985, 1986, 1987. Some dates have not even happened yet. At the center of the room stands a single metal chair facing an old radio console. Unlike everything else in the station, the console looks brand new. Its power light is glowing. No cables connect it to anything. Yet it is alive. A microphone rests beside a notebook. The notebook contains only one page. Fresh ink, as if written moments ago. It says, "If you found this, you are the final witness. Do not become the next operator." No name, no signature. The investigators search the room. There are no exits, no hidden passages, no signs that anyone has lived there. Just before leaving, one investigator notices a small brass plaque beneath the console. It carries a single inscription: Blackwater Station, Shift 7. Everyone freezes. Every official record listed only 6 operators. There was never a 7th shift, or so they believed. The radio suddenly activates, not with static, with perfect clarity. The familiar voices return. Only this time, they are calm. No panic, no fear. The lead engineer speaks first. "You finally understand." The missing physicist continues. "The loop was never a prison. It was a warning." One by one, the 6 operators thank the investigators, not for rescuing them, but for listening. Then comes the final revelation. The engineer says, "We failed because we believed the signal came from the future." It never did. It came from every moment at once. Silence follows. The transmission weakens. The voices begin fading. Before they disappear completely, one last message reaches the room. When the frequency is forgotten, the loop ends. The red light on the console goes dark. The receivers fall silent. The clocks begin moving again. For the first time, Blackwater Station is completely quiet. Months later, the government seals the site permanently. Project Echo Gate is officially declared a myth. Most of the recovered files disappear into classified archives. The investigators publish only part of what they found. Some evidence is simply too impossible to explain. Today, Blackwater Station still stands above the sea, empty, abandoned. Weather slowly consumes its walls. Visitors report nothing unusual. Most leave believing the stories were only legends. Yet amateur radio operators continue to share an unsettling experience. During severe coastal storms, at exactly 12:17 a.m., an old frequency sometimes becomes active. The transmission is weak, almost buried beneath static. It lasts only a few seconds. Those who record it hear the same final sentence. If you can hear this, don't answer. No one knows whether the voice is a warning, a memory, or the beginning of another cycle. And perhaps the most unsettling question of all remains unanswered. If Blackwater Station finally fell silent, who is still waiting for someone to reply?